you're going to get what you pay for. If you want a meh person, then you're going to get them at a discount. If you want someone who's really, really good, you're going to have to pay a premium for them. That's just the way it is. Everyone in this industry is just very, very busy, which makes sense. It's difficult for senior leaders to take that time and determine that ROI.
Powered by NEI Global Relocation. This is Relocation Leader, the podcast where we help advanced professionals in the world of global mobility. Now, here's your host, Zach Turbis.
Welcome to another episode of Relocation Leader. I'm your host, Zach Turbis, and today we have Jillian Gudza from Glomo. She is a senior recruiter and also co-host for the Get Talent podcast. We want to welcome you on, and thank you so much for joining us.
No, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I always, like you just said, do it from my perspective with the Get Talent podcast. So it's exciting to get to go on another podcast and just chat.
So tell me, how did Ben rope you into doing that podcast?
Well, okay. So we've always had Get Talent. We kind of revamped it the last year or so. We had our former director of talent, Danny Herskowitz. He did it with Ben for quite some time. And then I would go on every now and then to kind of just share like my recruiter perspective. And it was really fun. And it was helping me a lot in my job because I had to do a lot more research. I had to be able to recount different stories and experiences I had and what I learned from that. So I enjoyed it a lot. And then we kind of took a hiatus from it for a little bit and we wanted to bring it back. And so Ben presented the opportunity to me and I was like, okay, well, I enjoy talking a lot and we talk about this stuff every single day. Why not record it and put it out there for everyone else to be able to digest? So we kicked it back off probably around the holidays. And we started to do a really fun twist on it where we were going to different restaurants during lunch hour and we were trying food. So we were like half talking about mobility and recruiting, half talking about the food and our experience there. That got a little bit challenging. So we started to do it more in the office and just either bring food in or just wait and just have the conversation. But I don't know exactly what number I'm, but we're in the 50s, episode 50 something. So it's been going really well.
I think the first one I caught, you guys were in this it was like a dark lit, room there was tons of things happening in the background and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm like, wow, this is different.
Yeah, that was probably, we did C-Pot. It was Korean barbecue. So we had conveyor belt going behind us. We had all the burners. And honestly, that was our first one coming back from our revamp. And we were like, wow, we really just went all the way for the first one because that was so challenging. You're
like, you want to try rookie ball, single A? You're like, just major leagues. Let's just do it. Yep.
Yeah, I was just like, let's just skip in, jump right into the deep end.
Nice. Yeah. And then I will say I listen to podcasts mostly on just my podcast catcher, and y'all need to update your feed. It's still showing 2023. So get on that.
No, I know. We've been on LinkedIn Live. That's what we've been primarily doing. But it used to be on Spotify, anywhere you could find podcasts. So I'll make a note of that. We need to
I know. I was I like listening to you guys, but I'm not always on LinkedIn all the time. So
yeah, no, fair. And plus we're on our lunchtime, which is 12 Central. So knowing that everyone else is on different time zones, it might not be easy for people to tune in.
But it's a great podcast. I will say, I love listening to you guys. I love listening to Love and Reload too. So make sure y'all tune into that. So I have a few questions here to kind of get us started, kick us off here. And I want to know, as a recruiter, how much time do you spend on LinkedIn?
Oh my God. I have 4 different LinkedIn tabs open right now. It's open 24/7 essentially. And as soon as I get home, I have notifications on my phone. So I'm always getting notifications and I always check them. So I'm on LinkedIn all day long and all night. It's the first thing I check. No, just because I am a recruiter, but I will say before becoming a recruiter, I was never on LinkedIn. I didn't see why people were on it like regular social media. I was like, how are people on it all day, every day? But here I am doing that exact thing now. But it's just the nature of our work. And LinkedIn Recruiter is a big tool that we use, and it's combined with regular LinkedIn, so you can toggle back and forth between the two. So between those, I'm on there all day.
What would recruiting be like without LinkedIn? I'm just curious.
Oh my gosh. Without LinkedIn, it would be so difficult. I'll say we had a portion of the year where we weren't using LinkedIn Recruiter and we were just using LinkedIn. And that already was a whole nother challenge in itself. So I couldn't imagine if LinkedIn was just gone entirely. Probably would have to work off of like Facebook. No joke, because we already do that for certain moving roles they're much more niche, not usually on LinkedIn, can't find them from a quick search. There's a bunch of moving groups that we're a part of, and I'll find people through the moving groups. So I would probably be doing that all day.
Or like corporate espionage or something. Like you just go scout out a role and get in there, get the org chart, Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
you're like, that's illegal. No, it's not.
Or Zoom Info basically does that. It's a great sales tool, not as much recruiting, because we need personal contact info for people to be able to reach them. Typically, you don't want to reach out to them on their business contact because their employer might see that. So Zoom Info wasn't super great for us for the recruiting side of things, but for a BD aspect, it was great. It does give you an org chart and it breaks it down. It's like sales over here, HR over here, and you can see every employee listed in that. So that was really helpful. It's just being able to contact them from that point would be the real challenge.
Who are some of your favorite voices on LinkedIn? Like, who do you like to listen to?
There's this lady, her name is Don. She's from New York. She's a recruiter. She's not a recruiter within our space. I actually don't know which industry or if she is industry specific, but she's a executive headhunter. Her tips that she provides are amazing, not only for other recruiters, but for potential job seekers as well. She gives a lot of candidate tips and tricks, or even hiring managers. She's had a ton of experience as a recruiter, and it seems like it's really paid off for her. So she posts a lot. She has some podcasts that she does. I really like her. There's another gentleman, Mark Whitby, and I think Ben's been on his podcast before. He posts a bunch about just recruiting in general. He is fantastic. He's come to a few conferences and spoken as well. So those are probably the top two that I really like.
Do they ever mention relocation?
Very rarely. So from a relocation standpoint, I'm not sure if you are, but I'm sure Jack Jampel, he is fantastic. He hosts a lot of roundtables just for people to get together. He's very vocal. A lot of people in the industry know him. And he's just... We
love Jack. We're big Jack fans here.
Exactly. So,
he was just on you guys' podcast on Love and Relo.
Mm-hmm. He was, and we had him in, not last week, the week prior, for the NTRP conference. He was visiting, and that was a pleasure to have him. He's a wealth of knowledge as well. Kind
of a quote. This is actually one of my favorite business quotes. Like, I follow almost religiously. Like, I'm a big Alex Hormozzi fan. Okay. He's got this quote that I really wanted to kind of share to kick us off. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it says, this is his quote. It says, being cheap with talent is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make.
Yeah. 100%.
And, and one thing I like about Alex is like, when he talks about his people, I mean, he's always like, dude, my people are not cheap. I pay for talent. And he was like, but, it's so worth it. And I think that, the relocation industry is built off of people valuing talent. It wouldn't be an industry if people didn't value talent, but sometimes I think people kind of lose track of that. They may be focused on an area over here and they think it's more of a process thing, or, not even seeing that like people are the ones who manage those processes or that solve process bottlenecks, or, you know what I mean? And so I'm curious, I will read the quote one more time, but what were your first thoughts when we read it? So it's being cheap with talent is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make.
You pay, you're going to get what you pay for. So if you want a mad person, then you're going to get them at a discount. If you want someone who's really, really good, you're going to have to pay a premium for them. That's just the way it is. And I think about sales in particular, because that's something we have been consistently recruiting for in general. the people who are killing it in sales and are actually bringing in revenue, they have a higher salary point. That is just a fact. They're making a certain amount of money. They need to sustain that, and especially if they're bringing in substantial amounts. On the flip side, we have clients who they're tight on cash and they're like, well, this is all I can afford right now. Well, now we're into a different candidate pool, and maybe those people aren't bringing in as much money. So it's give and take. You just have to know that whatever you spend, you're going to get a greater outcome from it.
It's all about like looking for those outsized returns. So like what positions in your company, if you would have for lack of a better term, a killer, or somebody who's just, really on, great go-getter, if you have a certain role out there that if somebody does well in the role, then that role has a better ROI. Like it's, you could have 2 different roles at the company, and maybe if one, like in sales, does really well, you could potentially grow the company to like double or triple its annual revenue overnight, versus maybe another one where it's, I don't know, not to bag on like HR or something like that, but like an HR role, it's what's the return,
Yes.
And so my question is like, are people just not doing the math to find out what roles have those outsized returns, or do they just not believe in the value of talent,
I honestly think it's the first one. I don't think that they do enough research or look at, like, for a sales role, it's really easy to see your ROI because it's quantifiable in dollars. So with someone like, I don't know, say like a client services role where that's more just account management, staying client facing, getting all the information from them, seeing what's working, what's not working, how do we fix things, or those roles, I mean, there's no money specifically coming back in relation to that person. So it's really hard to form that ROI, but there's other ways you do it through like your survey scores. How many moves are you getting from that client now? Because are they happy with your previous work? So you have to think bigger picture and look at a lot more data points to see that ROI. But I think because it seems like everyone in this industry is just very, very busy, which makes sense because there's a ton of moving parts and there's a lot of problem solving and a lot of working together and relying on others. So there's just a lot going on. And I think that it's difficult for senior leaders to take that time and really figure out what those data points are and how they can determine that ROI for non-revenue generating roles.
And, it could be entirely reversed too, because if you think about like, if maybe they're having an attrition problem, or maybe they're having like they're a retention problem, their employees are leaving, then maybe you do want to spend for an HR guru who's going to come in there and fix where you're bleeding, and maybe you have a killer product that sells itself, then maybe sales is not your highest area of need. So it's more about, I think, just looking at your own organization, finding like where do we need to position talent, and then going after it like your business depends on it,
Exactly.
So then in your mind, what stops people from using relocation as a tool then to help address their talent needs?
Money, costs. It's expensive to do so. So it's a lot easier especially when the industry is down. We're trying to find ways to reduce costs. So relocating someone is normally one of the last options for, at least for suppliers and internally in the industry. I think a lot of companies have the mindset that there's good talent everywhere. We are global. That is, so you should be able to find it.
When you're working with, different companies and they're saying, we're looking local. We got some candidates here and there, but we're really having a tough time filling it or can't find one that perfectly matches what we need. How have you been successful getting them to sort of expand their search to regional or national?
Honestly, find the candidate that they're describing to a T. And once you present it to them, you have to explain why they're still going to work as either a remote employee or hybrid that comes in every, whatever the basis is, every once a week, once a month, once a quarter, anything like that. But if your key needs are X, Y, and Z, and this person has that and can bring you those, this is what you need. And then you, on the flip side, show them, here's your talent pool locally. These are all the skills we have. Now, these are your biggest three. These candidates might only have one or two. So you have to be willing to compromise, and just, it's again about the give and take. What are you willing to give up in order to receive? And I think you have to have your biggest pain points and know how to solve for those. And whatever the answer is for that, you just have to be flexible.
One of the things I'm always curious about is like, how often is it that the people who are hiring, who are, putting the job description together or whatever, don't really know what they want? Like how often do you actually have to help them understand what they want?
All the time. And that's really where intake calls become so important, because we often will get even clients that we've worked with previously. So it's not our first time communicating. We've gone through several searches before. We kind of know how we work. They'll just send the job description and be like, hey, I need this person in this location. Hopefully by next month, can you send me some candidates? And it's like, yeah, I can, but we need to get on a call, and we need to really deep dive into this, because we'll often find we'll get great candidates based on the information we've been given. We'll put them through the interview process, and then the process gets longer and longer and longer, because they're still internally trying to figure out, like, okay, what can we do with this person? Like, how do we fit this role into the organization if it wasn't there already? Or what are we going to do differently about this role? There's so many things that come up as the process goes on that draw it out. And it's like, okay, we need to spend the time up front in the intake call and make sure we're asking all the right questions. We're getting into the nitty gritty of it. So nothing pops up in the interview process that's going to make it go even longer. It happens all the time. And we also have people come to us HR, and they're like, hey, we've been working on this internally for months, and we're trying to explain that you're looking for a purple unicorn. The job is not really lined out clearly. Like, the expectations are not set. So like, it's very difficult to recruit for this. And they the internal HR, it seems like they enjoy handing it off to be like, good luck, because now we work together as a team to help senior leaders understand what needs to be done differently, or what needs to be hashed out beforehand.
Nice. And so have you ever found a purple unicorn? I'm just curious.
Oh, gosh. No, they're a purple unicorn because they're a purple unicorn. It's nearly impossible to find. We get very close, and I will say, clients have realized that they didn't need that purple unicorn exactly. They just needed to be a little bit more flexible on some other things, or be able to train on those other things they're missing, and then they'll get their purple unicorn.
Fair enough. Okay. So I'm curious, we talked a little bit about your role. What's your favorite thing about your role? And then, because I want to give you some hard questions, what's your least favorite thing about your role?
My favorite thing about this role is, one, the industry. I really, really love global mobility. We're a diverse group. We're international, obviously, because of that. Everyone is just so kind and caring, because it's a people first industry. It's all customer service based for the most part. So, the people are just really awesome, and I get to talk to them all day long. So I've learned so much from such knowledgeable people who have been in this industry for 20 plus years. And those who are new to it, even that come with a international background, just in general business. I've learned so much through all the conversations I've had, and they've all been extremely pleasant. Obviously, there's a few every now and then that's like, oh my God, I hate this job. Like, I just got verbally attacked over the phone. Sometimes it gets in your head. It's tough to swallow, but for the most part, the people are amazing, and they are what have kept me here in this industry.
Nice. And so I think you maybe have worked in your least favorite then, right there.
My least favorite is honestly I'm going to say being the middleman, because it's very difficult sometimes to get everyone on the same page, especially if from the client side, if there's 4 hiring managers and I have to coordinate with all 4 of them and say they're all remote from their own company. They're not sitting with the other hiring managers every day. They all have their own schedules. So I got to go to each individual person, back to the candidate side. There's so much back and forth. It can be difficult to continue to feed the top of the pipeline. Like, I still need to get more candidates in. I need to be screening on a regular basis, but then I also have to switch focus and then play the coordination role and go back and forth. And when people aren't available or aren't getting back to you, it leaves me really stressed out, honestly, because I'm like, okay, I'm the glue here. I have to keep everything together. And I have a lot of people to manage in this process. So that's where I get the most stressed out personally. So that's probably my least favorite part, but it is what it is. It just comes with the job, and there's ups and downs for it. Sometimes I'll be in weeks where it's just like pure mayhem. My calendar is back to back. I'm switching between screening people and then also trying to get interviews coordinated and getting that feedback. And then there's weeks where it's pretty slow, and hiring managers are like, no, we're traveling this week. We're traveling next week. We need to take a pause. So it changes all the time. So I just have to buckle in for those tougher times and know that I'm going to come out of it and it's all good.
I just want to know how you get your podcast in. It's like, it's a slow week. We're going to do a podcast. What do you want to eat?
Exactly.
All right. So I don't know if we already covered this, but how do you help people pull the trigger on a strategic hire?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. You have to do a lot of hand holding. You have to really lay out the big picture and be like, okay, here are your upsides here. This is why you came to be with this need in the first place. Because again, purse strings are very tight right now. There's a lot of companies who are just trying to get by, but you also have to be open-minded to, if I spend money, then hopefully I'm going to get money in return. If you just stay where you're at currently, nothing's going to change per se. Maybe you'll get lucky and the economy will bounce back and more people will start moving around for jobs. But if you don't do anything in the meantime or think bigger picture and be willing to go through that phase of, oh no, like, are we okay? Can we get through this? Because you will get through it because you're going to get that ROI. So just a lot of it's just calming people down and just letting them know that your ROI is here. They have done this in the past. Here's examples of that. You're going to get the same thing. Just get through that tough period before, because it might take, depending on the role, it might take someone 3 months to start seeing revenue generated. It might take them a year, but know that it's going to be returned to you and potentially at a way greater scale as well. So it's kind of just like coaching them through that uncomfortability.
Can we talk some talent trends?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm curious, we went through COVID, went through the Great Resignation. We went through a whole bunch of increase in business and productivity. And then, I just feel like the last 5 years have been this big roller coaster, and talent has seen sort of roller coastering effects as well. What kind of talent trends are you seeing from companies? And maybe you want to go general to start and then more specifically for relocation.
Yeah. So, we're seeing right now companies and people be more fluid, non-linear careers as well. We have a lot of people who are staggering. They're going up in level, they're going down in level. They're not staying in one function for decades anymore. There were, for a time, it seemed like a lot of people in mobility had that clear track, and maybe they hit a ceiling and they've been there for a ton of years now, but those people even are more open to different things. They're like, okay, my current role is not sustainable anymore. I'm either not motivated, or our company is changing and my role is changing and it's not really aligned with my skill set anymore. Those people are more open-minded, and especially with younger folks coming in, they are they don't want to do one thing forever. They want to be well-rounded. We're all hyper. I'm part of the younger generation. I know I am one. We have to stay mentally stimulated. I mean, it makes sense with all the social media and stuff. Everything is right at our fingertips, and you can just bounce from one thing to the next. We're always mentally stimulated. So I think younger folks are looking for that in work, more flexibility. What else can they do outside of their like traditional job scope, and how can we keep growing? We're seeing a lot more transferable skills, which is a good thing as well, because people are more open. So, and of course, with hybrid remote work, that's always a driving force. People want more flexibility there, especially because we are in a international industry. It's trickier for candidates to understand the importance of being on site when they're working internationally, and the people that they're working with on a daily basis, their other suppliers that they work hand in hand with for a transferee's move, they're not there with them in the office. They're at a different company. They're in a different country. So why do we need to be in person every single day? So we see a lot more hybrid work and remote work because of that.
Jillian, I want to thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It was a joy to have you. We love you guys at Glomo. We think you guys are doing awesome out there, and I really appreciate you bringing all the insights to us so that we can talk about everything recruiting today.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much as well. I know it's really fun to get to go on a podcast instead of hosting it for a change. So I appreciate you guys extending the invite, and likewise, we love all you guys over at NEI. So it's been a pleasure.
Next time maybe we'll do this and we'll have some food. Yeah,
even if it's virtual, we can chat about what we've got going on and how it's tasting. But yeah, no, any ideas I'm open to.
Omaha steaks,
Yeah, there you go.
Bring your own grill, right?
Sounds good.
Well, that was another episode of Relocation Leader. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you guys circle back in 2 weeks. Take care.
Bye, guys.
This has been Relocation Leader, the podcast where we help advanced professionals in the world of global mobility. Listen back here every 2 weeks for a new episode on NEIReload.com or on your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you next time.